Hi, and welcome to the first week of BI6630. Our title this week is Loss and Redemption, God's Temple City. Now, my name is Dr. Brian Babcock, and I'll be your professor for the next 8 weeks. I'm also the course creator for this course. So I would love for each of you, as we move through, if you see anything that doesn't look quite right, or if you see any typos, or if you feel any assignments are unclear, please let me know so that I can make notes and improve this class each time we teach it. Now, to begin, I would love to get to know each of you and for each of you to get to know each other a bit better. Some of you may have been in classes together before, and for some, this may be your first introduction. So I want you to go to the community post section in Blackboard and create an introductory thread under the class introductions discussion board. Now, introduce yourself to the rest of your class and to me. You can provide as much information about yourself or as little as you would like. I don't grade these. It really is just a chance for us to each get to know each other. If you have a Facebook page, a blog, or a website, please feel free to put those links in your introduction, but be prepared. People may take you up on it and join your Facebook page or your blog or your website. Also, feel free, and I would encourage you to put a picture of you or your family or where you live or what's important to you. It's always nice for me to get to know students visually as well as getting to know you through your posts. So please take a minute and introduce yourself through that introductory discussion post. Then on to our goals. We have 3 goals this week. The first is to analyze the initial chapters of Genesis to unpack the themes of hope and reconciliation that take place in this book. Now, I would argue that the entire Bible is set up in the book of Genesis. And the trajectory that we find in Genesis and the major themes that we find are then set free from Genesis and find fulfillment through the rest of the Old Testament into the New Testament, and then ultimately in the book of Revelation. Our second goal is to integrate the analysis of a biblical text into the context of ministry. One of the things that I've tried to spend some time with in this course is not just exploring the Pentateuch academically. Now, that's incredibly important. And to do exegesis on passages is incredibly important. But I feel that it's also important as master students that you begin to contextualize what you take as your exegesis in understanding the meaning of a passage, and then look for ministry applications in our modern context. And then finally, to evaluate how God's reaction to Adam and Eve's initial sin reveals aspects of God's character. Now, we have a couple of assignments this week. In assignment 1-1, it is a paper on God's temple city. And you have a couple of different reading assignments that use temple city in a different way. And so I want you to complete a compare and contrast assignment on what Alexander and Wenham mean by God's temple city. How does this theme impact humanity before and after the initial sin of Adam and Eve? And where is the final hope for restoration of this temple city? So I think that a good way to do this assignment, which is a 4-page assignment, is to look at a brief summary of what Alexander says when he means God's temple city, and then a brief summary of what Wenham means when he says God's temple city, and then a body of the paper that compares and contrasts the two, culminating with what it means in the New Testament as a temple city. Now, be sure to support your argument. One of the things that I grade very harshly is I want not just quotes and references to Wenham and Alexander here, but I'm wanting outside research as well. That's what a master's student is all about, is the ability to do an analysis and bring in secondary research to bear in your own argument for what you believe a topic or a point should be. So be sure to support your argument with academic references from at least 2 commentaries and 2 peer-reviewed journal articles. And by peer-reviewed, I mean you're not just going to John Doe's blog and what they have to say, but 2 academic scholars who have published a paper on this topic. Each of you is required to have a copy of Logos. We're going to be using that each week, and Logos is an excellent source for this type of outside research. In your conclusion, be sure to include a discussion about how this theme might be applied to a modern ministry setting. As with all of our papers, this paper is due at midnight Central Standard Time in, Chicago time. Our second post is looking at the art or science. So in discussion 1, after a careful reading of Genesis 1 to 3, plus reading the assigned Hess reading, in around 300 words, I want you to post what you believe the creation account tells us about God's character. So the core of the assignment is to pick one aspect of God's character that you can find and identify in Genesis 1 to 3, including something out of the Hess reading and some outside research, and then discuss that character and what it might mean for us today. Now, you may want to explore how Genesis 1:1 to 2:3 and 2:4 to 3:2 provide different views of God's relationship to mankind. One has God's immanence. It's God being with us, standing alongside Adam and Eve, walking in the garden. The other really explores God's transcendence. God is in the heavens looking down upon the garden. So one possible relationship or character you might look at is immanence versus transcendence. Or how God responds to Adam and Eve's initial act of rebellion and what characteristics he shows. Another possible focus explores God's relationship with mankind before and after the fall in light of God's temple city, which was discussed in Alexander. There are lots of different ways you can approach this assignment, and part of the goal is to have different students find different characteristics and then be able to discuss them throughout the weekend. Your initial post is due on Friday at midnight Central Standard Time, with ongoing engagement in discussion through Monday at midnight Central Standard Time. Now, I feel so passionately about how we do discussion posts that I've actually created a video, if you go to announcements, on what my expectations are for interaction. I feel that one of the dangers we have in an online course is that it is so asynchronous, meaning that we each interact as we have time during the week, that in fact it can become a self-paced kind of individual study. And in doing that, we miss the entire component of classroom interaction that I have when I'm teaching a 16-week or a 15-week face-to-face course. And the only way that we're able to really bridge that gap and create a sense of class or classroom, is to be able to interact with one another through a discussion post. So when I'm grading, I'm looking for an initial post that has content, it has biblical passages as support, it has outside research as support, and it has personal references as support. So I'm looking for 3 different ways these posts are put together. But perhaps even more importantly, I'm looking for ongoing engagement in discussion. And that does not mean you post your post on Friday at 11 o'clock, you come back in Saturday morning, drop 5 more quick comments, and then don't do anything else the rest of the weekend. That's easy, And for some classes, that may be enough. But for mine, I'm wanting you to make your post, engage with a couple other students at a minimum, and then interact with those students over the course of the weekend. Now, the interaction can take, it doesn't have to even stay on topic. You can move off topic into something that's relevant to you, but I'm wanting to create dialogue where people get to know each other, and hopefully we're able to dig deeper into the intent of the post. So on the initial response, I'm wanting critical interaction. That means more than, hi, you did a great job. It may start, hi, you did a great job, but then I'm wanting you to really dive into something that they discussed and dig out a topic that you can interact with over the course of the weekend. So it can be synthesis with previous discussions. It can be a question about the reading, course lecture, anything that you can find to create a string that you can have for dialogue. Then I'm wanting ongoing engagement and discussion over the weekend. Try to engage in a dialogue with more than the 2 minimum responses. If I find someone who does either batched comments, meaning that within a half an hour you did 5 comments, or all you do is 2 comments, then that really is B-level work. So on a 20-point discussion post, you'll likely score a 17. And that's fine, that's a B. But if somebody wants to go ahead and master the material or get a score of excellent, a 20 out of 20, then I'm wanting ongoing engagement in discussion over the weekend. Now, some last thoughts. Rubrics and dues or due dates are found under course resources. Class introduction should be made under the community post. Sorry, we live on an island, and our water comes from a cistern. So when someone uses water, we get a pump in the background. It sounds like what you just heard. Please put your name in the file name of assignments. Perhaps most importantly, I look forward to a great semester. I look forward to seeing how God uses this material in your lives. And I hope that we can master this material so that you have a springboard as you go through other biblical interpretation courses. As with all your professors, call me or email me with questions. This semester, I'll be part of the semester out of the country. I live in Antigua, and so from now until sometime late April, I'll be in Antigua, and then I'll be relocating to Raleigh-Durham for the balance of the semester. But I look forward to getting to know you. I look forward to going through this material together, and I look forward to seeing what God has in store. So have a great day. Thanks for your attention, and let's get started.